Good to chat with you, Lincoln Riley. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great, Rich. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Absolutely. What is it like around those parts in a week where you're taking on Texas?
Yeah, it's unlike any other week. It's just a different buzz and vibe. Around the community. This is obviously an important game. It's such a historic game, and traditionally a great game. And so, you can kind of feel it in the air. It's one that when you come coach or play at Oklahoma, you look forward to this one each and every year.
And how do you make it different for the kids? What do you do? Put it up in red letters or something like that? Walk me through how you impress upon these young men about this game.
Well, for us, it's we've got away a little bit from the notion that this is just like any other game. 3 years ago when I came here, I kind of tried that myself, and it's wrong. It is still football. It's still 11 on 11, all that good stuff. But it is also a different kind of intensity, a different kind of atmosphere. The game is, as good as college football gets. And so I think you've got to embrace it. And that's what we've done here the last couple of years. We've really embraced the how different this game is, what it takes to win it. And, and hopefully you can do that and have a chance to win there in the fourth quarter on Saturday.
Yeah, I know. It's always a rarity when you can take part in a series that can be, of which can be said, first matchup 1900. I mean, there's not many of those.
No doubt. And I mean, you think about all the great coaches and players that have, gone down there to the Cotton Bowl each October and gone at it, the historic games, being at the same venue each year. You get the Texas State Fair around it. I mean, it's just, there's nothing else like it in sports. There's really not.
Lincoln Riley here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so did you at all speak to Kyler Murray about how he might have been in that wild card game last night for the Oakland Athletics?
I'm glad he's not. I'm glad he's playing for us this Saturday. So he probably would have made a difference, though, knowing him.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's supremely talented. What is that like, having a kid that is in a sport where obviously you need him to be a guy who plays with a head on his shoulders, but also some reckless abandon, knowing that he's also got a baseball career he might be thinking of?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we've had great communication with him, and he's a football player. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When he's here, it's all in. There's nothing about baseball. He's going to be, he's going to be smart, like we want all our quarterbacks to be. We want them to stay healthy and have a chance to play well, like our guys have done in the past. But at the same time, you can't play this game scared. You cannot play this game hesitant and play it at the level that we expect to play. So he's done a great job, and really, honestly, we just treat him like every other player, and I think that's the only way he would have it.
And how has he handled, obviously, taking the position a year after one of the most famous players in the history of the school held it, Coach?
He's handled it great. I've been really proud of him. He's commanded our group. He's obviously played at an extremely high level. And then the thing I've probably been the most proud of is he hasn't tried to be anybody but himself, and he was, I think he's got a good mental makeup to be able to handle that, because he's very confident. He has a lot of self-belief, but he also, he's just going to be himself. And he learned from Baker. He'd be first to say it. There's a lot of things he'll take, but he's still just got to be Kyler. And I think that's the most important thing when you're taking over for somebody like that. And he's playing at a very high level because of it.
Well, you're used to coaching a quarterback who's got a confident level and a self.
I am. Yeah, he's not the first one around.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you, in terms of watching what Baker Mayfield did the other night and what he is meaning to a Cleveland fan base right off the bat, what are your emotions that you have coming off of a long talent evaluation portion in which virtually every peccadillo that has been mentioned about Baker Mayfield was picked upon?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was coming the whole time, and so I guess I don't know if it validates is the right word, because I think what he did here speaks for itself, and what he did for this program speaks for itself. But I always felt like that there was no reason that the guy couldn't be successful. I mean, I always felt like that, and that he would be in the right situation at any level, including the NFL. So I think everybody's seeing that, he can come out of an offense like this and go succeed, which is, picking up steam in the NFL right now. He's not 6'4", and you know what? That's okay. That's not a prerequisite to be a great quarterback. and he's a team guy, and you see how he galvanized that team. He handled being the backup well. I think has given them a lot of life and energy here as a starter.
So what I guess red flag that you heard being mentioned about Baker Mayfield from January all the way through to draft day do you think is the most glaring? I guess what's the word for it? I'm going to come up with the right word for it. Most glaring unfair red flag that you thought was associated with Baker Mayfield, Coach.
Well, I mean, he obviously has had a few issues off the field. I mean, we all know that. So I understand some of those red flags. It wasn't a concern for me here. I don't think it'll be a concern in the NFL. He's a team first guy, but I do get that. Probably, honestly, on the field, which would be his intelligence on the field, and then how great of a thrower the guy is. And I think a lot of people thought he just dinked and dunked it around here, which wasn't the case. And they see him making elite throws at the NFL level, and they see him, going in, picking up a system quickly and able to produce at a high level very, very early in his career.
Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma head coach here on the Rich Eisen Show, and I loved your tweet after the Thursday night football victory over the Jets for Baker Mayfield.
I thought you would like it.
In Cleveland. Hey, bud, bet they forgive you for planting the flag now. Congrats at Baker Mayfield, #OUDNA. That now, how long did you have that one in the shoot, Coach?
And honestly, I didn't have it at all. And we were watching the game and at home, just sitting there with my wife watching the game, and it was unfolding. And one of us made a comment that it's just, isn't that so funny that, doing this here, Cleveland, with obviously what happened at Ohio State last year. And it kind of came to my mind right there at the end. And I thought, well, if they win this thing, this would be pretty funny to tweet out, just the irony of it. So, yeah, it wasn't meant to throw any shade. It was just meant to have some fun with it because it's actually a pretty cool story, and to go from, not everybody, but to go from almost villain in that state to hero in that state, it's in such a short amount of time, it's pretty amazing.
Well, that's why I always thought that it would be a wise choice by the Browns, or at least when they made it, that it would be one they wouldn't regret, despite what the instant snap analysis of Baker being number one overall was, Coach, is that a franchise that had not won a game in as long as they had not won a game needs Baker to plant a flag in places like Heinz Field against the Steelers, needs to plant a flag like he needs to do this week against the Baltimore Ravens to let everybody know that it's different around here.
I couldn't agree more. You got to have somebody that's, what you're saying and what I'm saying is you got to have somebody that's not scared of the moment and that's not scared of the challenge and that's ready to embrace it and believes that they could be a part in helping get it turned around. And if you need that, then he's your guy.
Well, then I guess what is the biggest challenge for you this weekend moving forward? 5-0. I mean, everybody sees your competition nationally, what they look like, from Alabama, whose Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback has yet to throw a pass in the fourth quarter yet, with what Ohio State has looked like. I mean, what is your challenge, Coach?
Just this game in itself. This game, kind of like we said earlier, it's unlike any other. It doesn't matter, how the teams are playing coming in. None of that matters. It's its own. It's like its own classification of games, really. It's such a heavy hitter. It's always, a tight game. Both teams are going to probably play the best ball that they play all year. So it's a unique game. It's always a challenge to win. And Texas obviously is, playing very well. And so, very, very talented roster and a very good football team. So I'm sure it's going to be like just all these others that we've had. Heavy hitting, going to be a tight game. Both teams are going to play well, and that's what you would expect in a game like this.
And you're from the state of Texas. You're a Texas Tech guy. I mean, are there people in the Riley family or on the family tree that might not be rooting for you this weekend?
Maybe some distant relatives, but they're not getting any Christmas presents this year. I can promise you that.
Just want to make sure that everything's all fine. And plus, so you obviously know the rivalry from that end as well. And being a Texas Tech guy and being there when Mike Leach was there as your coach and then on his staff, I got to ask you your favorite safe for work, potentially Mike Leach story that you can tell here on the Rich Eisen Show.
Oh, man. Probably I was a graduate assistant in his office. This probably was 2004. Cell phone rings answers the phone. I was in there talking to him, doing some work at the same time. He starts talking to the guy. Conversation goes on like 30 minutes, which is, for him, a short conversation on the phone. And you could tell eventually that the phone cuts out. One of them loses service. They can't hear each other, so he clicks the phone. It was back when you had the old flip phone, so he flips it back open, redials, resumes, hey, I got you now, sorry, bad connection. They resume the talk for about another 30 minutes, hang up. After the talk, I just kind of in passing said, hey, Coach, who are you talking to? He said, oh, they had the wrong number.
What?
He talked to him for 30 minutes and then called him back, so that's Mike, that's Mike.
The
There's
wrong
only one of those.
The wrong number?
Wow.
The wrong number. Yeah, he asked him where they're calling from, and just here he goes. That's him.
Did you hear his quote this week on balanced offense? Did you hear that?
I did. I've heard that one for a long time, but it's still pretty funny.
So he's had his math wrong the entire time, that 50% and 50% is 50% stupid?
He has. I'm surprised he got that wrong, but I think we get the point.
I do. Coach, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to having you back on again.
All right. Sounds great, Rich. Thanks again.
Right back at you. Lincoln Riley, the head coach of Oklahoma football.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.